Peace, power, and prosperity. Peace, power, and prosperity. It's your comrade, your brother Yafeuh Balogun, back at it again. One more time to have a conversation, rehashing a conversation that happened previously, probably about a couple years ago, with Rakem Balogun, who right now is in prison in East Texas. Reach out to him if you want his details. You can check on previous videos. I got his details on how to write them. Got Rakem Balogun and Erick Khafre talking about what's going on in Libya and Zimbabwe and how it's impacting the continent. So I just want to rehash this conversation. You know what I'm saying? If you do me a big favor, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Like, share, and subscribe. I give you a moment to do that. Other than that, we're going to jump straight into the conversation with Erick Khafre and Rakem Balogun.
Okay. Well, a lot of times, we do a lot of chit chatting through the typing on Facebook, and things of that nature. And I think it's very progressive or more progressive to do it in conversation. I think, doing a live chat is definitely going to, help us build better than we do when we're just typing. People really understanding what each other is talking about. These kind of conversation that we're dealing with definitely need to be talked about on an ongoing basis. Actually, definitely need to be talked about on an ongoing basis. Dealing with political matters in the world, because it's very important that we understand what's going on in the world and the basis of them. Right, we have to know the origin of something to know what the effect's going to be. So, we definitely, need to get into that. And live, I think live is a better tool in doing that. So we definitely ready to do this and, have some great conversation, great build about what's going on in the world, which is very essential, especially for those who seek to be revolutionaries, already revolutionaries. We have to have this dialogue. We have to dig into these things politically, dealing with things politically. All things are political in the world today, and we must deal with these things from a political standpoint. Going on in Zimbabwe and Libya has a big effect on us. And, the reason why is because a lot of us, especially who talks about repatriation and things of that nature, it just affects, when, for example, the situation with Robert Mugabe, a lot of us revolutionaries, we knew that Robert Mugabe, did not believe in colonialism and things of that nature. And, and the main thing that he was trying to do was set a great example for the rest of the countries in Africa. How to be self-sufficient and self-reliant without the white man. And so, you had you had pretty much NATO and, other entities. Peace, Saeed. Good to see you. Peace, Thorough. People. But their goal was to make sure, just like they did with Cuba, their goal was to make sure that they economically put Zimbabwe in a chokehold and make a bad example out of pretty much just practicing group economics. And and lo and behold, that bitch ass vice president Emerson Mnangagwa name is, he was the snake in the fucking grass. Our own people. And we already, and everybody knew that it was not for Zimbabwe best interest. It wasn't for African people interest. And I'm talking about a week didn't fucking go by before, a week didn't go by before the first thing he said was giving Europeans reparations. Like, fuck, we ain't got reparations in fucking over here in the United States.
And Africans already giving European reparation from them
Right.
kicking out of the land that they dominated with Cecil Rhodes, you know.
Right.
And so, you know, before we can even discuss that, we have to, discuss the history of Zimbabwe. Of Zimbabwe. You know, the struggles that the ZANU-PF had to go through to liberate the country.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they went through a lot of struggles to liberate that country. You know, and we watched the documentaries at Pan African Connection in Dallas, Texas.
Right.
You know, to put a lot of attention on it. And they struggled to get them crackers up out of that country, and to get the resources back. In which, the white people, and even when they kicked the white folks out, and he was nice enough to give them a time period to eat good off of African soil.
Yeah, right.
Mugabe, Robert Mugabe, he said, hey, we're gonna give you this time period. Well, how much time he get? Did he give them like a decade?
Yeah,
half a decade?
Yeah, it was like about 7 to 10 years.
Yeah, 2 decades.
Mm-hmm.
And so he gave them 2 decades, the white folks, to make money off and rape and pillage. Sorry about that, just got text messages. But, he gave them 2 decades to rape the resources of Zimbabwe, to make money and plan their exodus about the country. He was nice. Probably ain't never been that nice to us.
Right.
But he still did it. And he was a fucking hero for that. And so, I think one of the few things some of the few mistakes that Robert Mugabe did was say, given the Europeans' reparations movement there, do the Africans in the diaspora have the heart to practice a revolution, or do we have too much heart to engage warfare? I think, that's a good question, Bob. I think with Africans, I think one of the biggest things that hurts them is that they try to practice morality with their enemy. You can't do that. You can't be moral with your enemy. You just can't be moral with your enemy. I think that they figured they would set a good example on how to deal with your oppressor. But as we see, you can't be diplomatic, because just like you said, they found the weak link. The weak link is a man they call the crocodile, Vice President Emerson Mnangagwa, whatever the fuck his name is. He was the main one when Robert Mugabe was, trying to get rid of the white folks. He was the main one leading the attacks against whites in Zimbabwe. That's how he got the name the crocodile. That's why his team that supported him, he called them La Costa. Their name is La Costa. Because how vicious he was towards the white man and other people who opposed the ZANU-PF. And like I said, I think Robert Mugabe, one of his biggest mistakes was not making sure that he kept propaganda going in each and every household of Zimbabwe. He should have been politically educated Zimbabwe people, so they will understand, hey, whenever you make a revolutionary move, which we know the revolutionary move was ridding the white people and freeing the land and giving it back to Zimbabwe, he should have educated them that, hey, they're going to try to make things as miserable as possible for us, and we have to stand strong and lock arms. Just like over here in the United States with, brothers in this movement. There's going to be some things that's going to come and make things inconvenient. And when things get inconvenient, we're going to have to stand strong and lock arms and not be so quick to turn on each other. you know. But unfortunately, in Zimbabwe, you know, that wasn't the case. Emerson not only, you know, worked with the white man as an agent, but he turned a whole revolutionary organization to a fucking reform organization. The ZANU-PF was a fucking guerrilla organization. Man, they said,
Right.
that's his pussies. Excuse my French. But to see an organization with certain revolutionary principles to decay at their nature and become liberal, it's a great example to the brothers here in the United States how we cannot become liberal, how we must stay politically educated and politically aware and politically alert. Because there's going to be some opportunities where we're going to be able to cut each other out for a benefit, you know, and we have to maintain our political integrity to the revolutionary culture, you know. So, with Zimbabwe, you know, what I expect to happen based from, you know, my research, and then, you know, it wasn't as simple as, you know, Emerson just, you know, stabbing Mugabe in the back. I felt that Mugabe should have, you know, he should have been trying to develop Emerson as well as other people in his cabinet, as well as the man that's over the defense force, Constantine Chiwenga, whatever his name is, but that's his name, Constantine Chiwenga. We should have been educating them, you know. We've seen this happen so many times with Africa, you know, with Thomas Sankara. Man, the list go on and on, you know. And so, you know, Africa, I think the biggest problem in Africa is that, you know, political education is not, you know, getting across to the people. And I feel like it's too isolated. And they let these neocons come and dabble a couple trinkets in front of their face, and they get caught up in that, you know. Also, you know, we have to talk about Grace Mugabe. You know, Grace Mugabe was Robert Mugabe's second wife, and you know, he was trying to prepare her to be the future leader of Zimbabwe, to take over his position, because we know Robert Mugabe is 93 years old. He's pretty frail. You know, it's hard for him to walk without even falling. You know, peace and power, Robert. Peace and power, Yanaga. You know, he tried to. You know, he had a queen that was a lot younger than him, and you know, obviously, they knew that Emerson was doing some fuck shit in Zimbabwe. It was obvious, you know. That's why Robert Mugabe sacked him. And even before Robert Mugabe sacked him, you know, Grace, you know, was publicly criticizing Emerson, you know, in the La Costa organization, his supporters. But with the ZANU-PF, their problem that they had with the whole situation of Robert Mugabe having Grace somewhat fill his role, was that the ZANU-PF, after they had led successful revolution, one of the things that they did do is they agreed that, hey, you know, only those who fought in the revolution will have priority for running for president of Zimbabwe. And so Robert Mugabe, he did not uphold that agreement, because Grace did not fight in the revolution, you know. Also, you know, Grace has a pretty bad reputation. It could all be propaganda. You don't know. I have a bad reputation. You know, if you ask motherfuckers, and 99% of that shit that's being said is not even true. You know what I mean? So I don't just because people come out and say shit about people, I'm not jumping. Oh yeah, it's true. It looked like it. But you know, Grace has been accused by the cabinet of Zimbabwe of sleeping with younger people that's in the government. You know, and even even when they put Robert Mugabe on house arrest and did the military coup, you know, Robert Mugabe, you know, he protested by doing a hunger strike. You know, he's 93 years old. Because, you know, what Robert Mugabe was trying to do was put a lot of pressure on the Zimbabwe Defense Force. Okay, so he figured if his health declined while under their custody and house arrest, then it would look like a violent coup, and then naturally, internationally, other entities are able to step in. But you know, he wasn't successful. That hunger strike, he still was able to maintain his health and things of that nature. Then he also went on a non-speaking strike. But they told him, they was like, hey, you know, either you're gonna resign as the president and still be able to lead with your honor, or we will impeach you. And the impeachment was going to come with potential criminal charges as well, because, you know, hey, my little cousin on the line. Hey, cuz, I love you. Good to see you. Sorry about that. But pretty much he knew that doing a protesting by not speaking and things of that nature, he felt like that it would help kind of buy time. But they was already prepared for that, you know. And they also said that if he didn't resign, this is what the Defense Force told Robert Mugabe, that if he did not resign, then the Defense Force was not going to protect his home, and they was going to allow the protesters to come and have their way with him, you know. And so, you know, at this point, Robert Mugabe just have to leave Zimbabwe, you know, because the people are not politically educated. You know, they're obviously taking the side of the fascists because they feel that they're going to get something out of it. You know, they've been promised that their economy is going to recover, in which I'm sure their economy is going to be more fluent now since white folks are able to benefit off of it. There's no question about that. And also, you know, they're asking for South African farming companies to you know, come to Zimbabwe and, you know, take over the land, you know. So, you know, pretty much, yeah, you're right. The EU is in debt, and they will. They definitely will. We already know, you know, this, you know, EU is behind this. You know, the British nationals was behind this. You know, I'm sure South Africa was somewhat behind it because they seen it as a threat, especially with them bordering Zimbabwe. And you know, so many, you know, it was just so many interests into this whole thing, you know. But you know, they say Robert Mugabe was a dictator, he was tyrannical, all that stuff. We're gonna see when white men get in line. We're gonna see who the real dictator. We're gonna find out what's really going on. But anybody else want to chime in on the Zimbabwe thing? You want to, you know, okay. Hey, what's up? What's up, Sky? What's up, Yara? What's up, Tamara? You know, if anybody want to say something or just want to, you know, give their little input, I don't care if it's a few seconds, you know, just let me know so I can add you into this. And, you know, what's up, Hey Roo? What's up, Gerald? Got the gorillas on this joker. Got BM. You know, we got Tribe of Hey Roo. You know, we got a lot of people. You know, the African Wild Dogs. You know, but if anybody want, Chairman, is there anything you want to say about this or?
Yeah. Yeah. One thing is that it's important. We talking about what happened in Zimbabwe, how they corrupted the party and things of that nature, and corrupted the military. But a lot of times, of course, we know, that, it's not hard to corrupt a military in a lot of countries because some of them are remnants from the old, colonial bourgeois state, right? You have leftovers
Right.
from that in all these militaries. And it's important, that, revolutionary fronts across the world establish a people's army, right? An army that comes from the people that are armed also, right? Okay,
Right.
like in the Red Book, it said that the people's army have a conscious discipline. That's important. A conscious discipline means they know damn well what they discipline for. They understand principles, right? Because we saying
Right.
that there is no way in hell that the crocodile, just call him that, Emerson, there's no way in hell that he should have been, after he been fired and taken off his post, he ain't no way in hell he should have been able to give orders to anybody in the goddamn military. Ain't no way in hell. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because none of us can't go give orders to the United States military. They gonna look at us like we crazy. So, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? So that shows that a lot of those troops are mindless, but at the same time, they have a consciousness. But their consciousness is not a conscious discipline. It's a corrupt conscience. Mean, hell, if a motherfucker throw you a bone, your ass gonna go whatever the way the one that gave you the bone tell you to go. So the People's Army is the army that has a conscious discipline and it has the interests of the masses. And also the People's Army have a political task of the revolution, right? To carry out and to strengthen through propaganda, revolutionary propaganda, to strengthen the masses, among the masses. And the reason I'm saying talking about the People's Army is because Sekou Touré in Guinea, the great Sekou Touré, who led Guinea to independence in 1958. Okay, Sekou Touré is one revolutionary socialist president that was never
Mm-hmm.
overthrown after he left the colonial powers. But one reason that he wasn't is because he had that damn People's Army in place amongst the masses, pushing the propaganda, organizing the masses to keep political power from outside forces. And therefore, the French, they were not able to penetrate and get back in Guinea to have control like they wanted to. They were never able to kick Sekou Touré out of his seat because their People's Army was established. And so if somebody came in and infiltrated the military, that shit didn't matter because he had already had some shit set up where the People's Army and the masses gonna respond a certain way. Now, once Sekou Touré died in 1984, it had a lot of eruptions and shit going on. You had different coups going on. This group thinking they should leave, this group thinking they should leave. But while he was there, it was a highly effective People's Army, and that's the thing. That we have to understand that we have to have the People's Army. It's not an easy thing, you know what I'm saying? But the
Right.
People Army exists only for the masses, for the interests of the masses of people in all African territories and our territories here that we want to liberate. We got to have a People's Army that is only going to do what the fuck the people need. You're not going to be able to throw a motherfucker a bone and they going to corrupt the whole goddamn thing. And that's how I feel about as far as establishing the People's Army that will be able to come in and keep the ground for any corruption they might have from an outside force or a military.
Right. Right. Um, you know, that's one of the things that Chairman Mayo did. He made sure that,
Right.
the masses,
Mm-hmm.
um, he made sure that the masses was politically educated. He made sure that everybody was on one accord. And,
Right.
one of the things I talk about a lot is, political conviction, you know. Um, Once you're politically educated and genuinely politically educated, you should have a certain conviction level of not, no, nobody's going to be perfect. Let's get that out the line.
Right.
We
Right.
we all are liberal, and we all have our liberal moments, and that's why combat liberalism and the culture of combat liberalism is very important in our revolutionary struggle. You know, a culture where if somebody's liberal, that person must be held accountable in immediate fashion. You can't be letting liberalism continue to go on. And I think that was the problem with ZANU-PF. It was a lot of liberalism, and I've heard rumors of liberalism of Robert Mugabe. You know, he has revolutionary principles, and that's no question. Just like Baba Tunde say, he asked, was Mugabe a dictator who valued African self-determination over his own? You know, but the thing is, when you have liberalism, and this is what I'm talking about. This is how, you know, the rumors of Robert Mugabe being liberal was that his family was, you know, living a more than abundant life. Now, you know, my response to that is, find me one president or one king in any country where their family is not living a good life. You know, but you know, like they said they were talking about his son. They said 6 weeks ago was on Instagram posting a watch that he just bought that cost $60,000.
Man.
You know, and so because for the past 2 weeks, I've been doing a lot of research on this, and I'm not just gonna watch. I'm just not going to read the British, the South African, and Nigerian journalists. You know, I go on YouTube. I find these everyday Zimbabweans, the ones I can understand what the fuck they saying, right? But I find them, and I just want to know, what's your input on this shit? You know what I mean? And I just watch their videos. I watched all type of videos supporting anti-Robert Mugabe, because I thought Robert Mugabe had a strong youth movement. You know, that was from my understanding, he had a strong youth movement. But let me kind of get into some of these comments real quick. Natula, peace and power, Natula. It's been years since I seen you, but much love to you. You say we must form this land of fall. You're definitely right. And that's the question. You know, why was the land not formed and used? You know. Or it probably was. He said, you know, notice they want the farmland, most definitely. Baba Tunde said, was Mugabe a dictator who valued African determination, which I read that. My big brother, Muja Balogun, he said, we need more commitment in order to survive. Man, that's something. In GMF, that's something that we definitely know. And you know that, Muja, man. Commitment and revolutionary struggle is very fucking important, you know, because we see commitment breaks, and when we see cats fold on some weak shit. I'm talking about nigga COINTELPRO had really came down on us like that. You know, we have comrades getting followed by FBI. You know, we getting sabotaged by TSA, just little petty shit. But we hadn't just went through shit. You know what I'm saying? Other than a couple bitter females, making up slanderous accusations and shit like that. And I saw comrades fold on that, or I've seen support fold. And we just think when COINTELPRO really hit, we have to make sure we maintain a revolutionary commitment in order to survive. Also, Baba Tunde said, was Mugabe a dictator or one who valued African self-determination over personal or individual rights? I say both. He didn't disperse propaganda or provide proper PE for the people to accept. Technically, the minister of UK, he's a dictator. Trump's a dictator. Obama was a dictator.
Right.
It just depends on who you're asking, who's the dictator, right? Because the people of Zimbabwe, who was not politically educated and didn't understand Robert Mugabe's struggle, seeing him as a dictator. Just like a few people, just like, people in Cuba. Some of the Cubans who came to America saw Fidel as a dictator. You know, so it just matter who you asking, what interest. Yara said, "Hotel, bro." I'm sorry, Chairman Erick, would you say that People's Army is driven more so by the personality or the doctrine and principle?
Oh, the doctrine and principles, right? That's what that leads back to what Bab was just asking. It's the principles, the people on me. As long as, in other words, it's not gonna be effective if it's not led by principles. That's the only way it's gonna be effective, if it's led by the principles and the doctrine. It's got a whole lot, and that goes back to what Bab had, because the deal with Mugabe, right, is that this thing, and Kwame Nkrumah in the Handbook of Revolutionary Warfare perfectly put this out in the open and explain this, right? But see, what the Western world do is, right, like America, right? They have this propaganda that they put out, right, that they quote unquote democracy, or what they feel is democracy, is the only way there is. It's the only way it should be, but it's not even a goddamn democracy. It's fake, because you know what I'm saying. The people, the masses in America, don't have no say so, because if they was, these damn corporate owners wouldn't have no damn money. It'd be the workers, because the workers is the one made production, and production is what made wealth. But you know, so they had this philosophy. They had us thinking about this philosophy where he was old, he was this and that. But Robert Mugabe was one of the last living real revolutionary Pan-Africanists of the century, right? He held the line the most in ZANU-PF, despite his errors, because what we got to understand, the political educate the masses is not Robert Mugabe's duty alone. Okay, I'm saying that if somebody want to join Guerrilla Mainframe, the development of those people don't fall back on Chairman Erick. I'm sorry to tell you. It falls back on the culture of Guerrilla Mainframe itself. So if ZANU-PF had got corrupted and their principles had fell to the wayside, then no matter what the hell Robert Mugabe did, that the political education of the masses was going to fall to the wayside too. That's why you need the People's Army, that's among the masses, building, organizing, building youth organizations, building self-reliance organizations, women leadership organizations. This is what the People's Army can do, along with arming the masses with weapons. So I'm saying that if ZANU-PF didn't hold that line, this is the detriment of what happened to the political education of the masses. And also, when people say, like we was just talking about, she was just talking about, well, they talking about his son went to go buy, wrist watches and shit like that. I'm saying that if any one of us, when we get 93, if we live to be that long, we ain't gonna be able to control what the hell our damn kids go fucking buy. We 90 fucking 3, he falling down Robert Mugabe falling down the stairs at conferences and shit.
Right.
He ain't got enough power to preach to his damn son. He been preaching to him for 90 years. So he really can't control. And people already know. Everybody knows when a person get older. It's just like when your grandma was 40 years old as opposed to when she 80. You can get away with more shit when your grandma is 40 years old than you can when she, you can get away with more stuff when she's 80 years old as opposed to when she's 40 years old. Because when she was 40 years old, she gonna whoop your ass and do, put you on punishment. As opposed when she's 80 years old, she gonna be more lenient on you because she ain't got no damn time to be chasing after your young ass all day. So this is the thing with Mugabe. He don't have time at 93 years old to do every damn thing. That's why the ZANU-PF is a revolutionary patriotic front. It's supposed to hold the line no matter what. You see what I'm saying? But he didn't trust as many of his other people because all the sabotage from the Western world. He didn't trust as many of the people as he should have trusted in ZANU-PF. And that's why I feel that he was holding on to that seat that long, because he didn't trust that other people would come behind him and hold the damn line. And we see now, in my opinion, there is some people in Zimbabwe can hold a line, and they're young. But the young movements supported, thought that the younger movements in Zimbabwe, young parties and organizations, they also felt that Mugabe should have stepped down. But their reason is not because they felt he was a dictator. They just felt like it's time for them to step up. Now, it's going to be interesting to see in the months and the years to come how much progress these young organizations would have made due to, you know, this motherfucker that been kicked out being able to come back in and have favor from the British and the Western world.
Right. And to carry on, Babatunda also added, he said, was it Hampton who said a black president will be as oppressive as a white one without political education? That's definitely, 100% true. And that's why GML, we have, our political ideology have not been the most popular across the black nationalist movement, because one of the things that we push is, political education, and a scientific political education versus emotional reactionary response to dealing with white supremacy and imperialism, capitalism, and things of that nature. And we understood, we study examples. We understand just because a motherfucker is black does not mean he good to go and square it away and gonna have the best agenda for black people. It's too many examples. I'm talking about people who came and Papa Doc in Haiti. You know what I mean? He's one of the examples, But, we have to look at those examples, because just Papa Doc hated everything that was white, and he didn't like the cracker no more than nobody else did. But when he got in power, he oppressed the fucking black people. He became a fucking imperialist. And to me, that's worse than a cracker, because a cracker, that's his natural agenda to do that, because he don't see himself when he see us. But when we see each other, we should see ourselves, Shout out to James Browser. Good to see you, brother. Kalika's watching. That's good. I would love to have Kalika chime in, because Kalika, if you're able to chime in, please put a thumbs up. If somebody want to chime in, just comment. Let us know if you want to hop, and don't mind being live yourself and add and converse. Just comment. Put me on. I'll definitely put you on. But I'm keep on moving on to Muja Balagoon said egos aside to get this work going strong. Most let bullshit divide. Discipline is needed because organizing is the hardest thing to get accomplished. We got to stick together like concrete. You damn right. You know what I mean? That's very important. Kalika, she put, I hope y'all do this every week. Yes, we will. And with your help and support, the bombs you be dropping on them GJU videos and conference calls, we definitely need that on here. Sister Akers, in Africa, shit is so crazy. There's only one way to be as a leader: go hard. As long as they are taking care of his people, empowering his people, staying with him like he is your daddy. Wrong approach or not, staying together. Hey, I agree with that. Conrad Ascari, African Union, full of buck dancers. Yes, you're right. That's that's the whole function. Because they gonna buck dance for their money. Because while they buck dance, they get to come to Paris, get treated like OGs. They get to come to America, and their family over here get treated like OGs. Go to UK, all that. They get benefits. Kalika, I miss. Was Peace and Power, D Mays. Kalika, I missed the first part. Just joined in. Most definitely got to get some good PU watched. Okay. Shout out to Mary Martin, a real soldier on here. Also, Sister Akers said, Africa need people who understand the wealth they sit on in Africa from natural resources. They need people who are not greedy. Fuck your money. We got money. traitors out of greed must leave or die. That will keep people respectful to the stand. I agree with that shit. You know, they might call Emerson the crocodile, but I couldn't be no leader in that type situation because, I feel like treason, it's only one way to deal with treason. It's to murder that motherfucker. Because even if I kick you out of my country, you're just going to go to the white man and they're going to use you to try to come back and overthrow me. So we just got to kill your ass, treat you like a fucking disease, I don't understand why motherfuckers be willing to stab their own people in the back. Thank you, Muja Balogun. Sky said they got a new illusion of freedom through European power. Y'all say so. If the principles are what should, I guess he said what should be done or should, I don't know, serve as the foundation and the beacon. How do you accomplish this? Just like Chairman said earlier, you accomplish this by creating a real revolutionary culture, creating a culture of political education. Political education must be in the schools. Political education must be in the goddamn commercials. It must come on the fucking radio and fortune cookies. Like, it should really be like that intense, Winnie Mandela laid the law. Exactly. I feel like Grace could have possibly been the new Winnie Mandela if she would have, succeeded as a leader, But, to sum this up, man, what's going on in Zimbabwe, is very devastating to our hearts, because, I saw Zimbabwe as an ally. I was like, damn, maybe I can go. Yeah. I can go there and get political. We don't have to go to Cuba. We can't go to Cuba no more, So, maybe Robert might accept us. We can get over there,
Yeah, he actually was saying that more Africans in America should come over and help develop the land. That actually was said by some
carry on, Chairman.
Okay. But but I was just saying that was Robert Mugabe was in solidarity with making that move with Africans in America. It's just a lot of these things that be in discussion. We have to be at the table, but a lot of times we get all our messages from CNN and things of that nature. But we have to be in the loop. We have to be in connection. We know people who have connections with Zimbabwe, right? And, it was a call for Africans in America to help develop land. I heard somebody earlier saying something about the land, was it being used properly, things of that nature, which they had some land reform things going on. A lot of land reform and agriculture projects to help develop the economy of Zimbabwe. That's the biggest reason why Emerson was supported so much is because they had that land reform going on for indigenous people in Zimbabwe. And like I said, genuine forces in the ZANU-PF was actually encouraging Africans in America to come and help develop and be a part of that. And that's always the case in some place, in Ghana also, right? You got Samia Nkrumah there, right? She's the daughter of Kwame Nkrumah, but she's not just the daughter of Kwame Nkrumah. She has some projects going on there in Ghana, in her district where she's over. She has a seat in a certain district, and is progress being made there. But it's always going to be moves on the opposition to sabotage and to suppress that, to keep it from going on a larger scale. So, certain people in certain areas on the continent don't know what's going on, and we don't know what's going on. We think it's just a bunch of our people on the continent running around, thanking the British and the French for what they've done, right? and just sitting down. But that's not the case. You know what I'm saying? That's not the case at all. It's just like over here. Our people on the continent have misrepresentation of what should be happening for the African masses, and Africans in America have misrepresentation of what should be happening, right? And I'm saying that you know, when people say leaders, just like in America where we are, you know, according to the news and the bourgeois status quo, you know, we have people like Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, Oprah. These are the people that they put out as our leaders, right? It's the same thing on the African continent. We know that Jesse and Al and all those people, they don't represent our interests. These people don't represent our interests. People like us represent our interests. We are the ones that sacrifice. We got little or nothing, right? Most of us are not millionaires. Most of us who will contribute to the struggle not even know damn well close to being millionaires. But we have sacrificed. We have struggled. We have held the line. We have served the community. We have did things that is worth living and dying for. But this is not in the headline, right? It's not in the headline. So for someone on another continent, they might say, well, the Africans in America don't have good leaders. They don't have good leaders. But yes, we do got good leaders. It's good leaders on this line right now. The leaders on this line right now have contributed to our struggle, right? We have made great sacrifice and change in our community and headlines. So many damn headlines that you got media sources, you got people want to write stories about you, people trying to film what we're doing all across the damn world, right? So, when any act of self-defense go on in this country, who do they contact? They don't go to Al Sharpton. They don't go to Jesse Jackson. They don't go any of those people. They come to the grassroots people and say, is this person that connect with you? Is this act of your act? Because they are starting to have to recognize who the real leaders are. And it's the same thing on the African continent. It is suppressed who the real genuine people are. You okay? They're not necessarily all in positions of authority. And this is a problem. This is why at 93-year-old, they had to rid Mugabe of his seat. Because he was still one of the genuine ones who was left. And this is a quick thing about that too. You know, Kwame Nkrumah, when he was still in head of Ghana, set up a ideological institution, right? Not just for people of Ghana, but for the people of different parts of Africa to come to learn, all right, to learn what the principles and the lies should be and how to carry them out in their respective states. This was the Kwame Nkrumah Ideological Institute. This is actually a university or actual academy that ideologically trained Africans from all across the country. And Robert Mugabe is one of the last people who came from the Kwame Nkrumah Ideological Institute. See, so all this stuff ties in. It has a big significance. You see what I'm saying? He's one of the last ones to be a part of an institution of that magnitude, right? And I'm saying that these kind of institutions, they don't want to last to Africa because they need them damn resources. So they're gonna do whatever it takes. They're gonna do whatever it takes to smash that. So this is what we got to understand. But it's more than meets the eye. Okay, we can't just say something based off a little perspective. Oh man, ain't nobody resisting, ain't nobody doing this. You always have resistance in Africa. You always have resistance in the African community in America. You always have resistance in Haiti. You always have resistance in most places where people at. You always have resistance. Resistance ain't gone nowhere. Now, we may be more pacified now than we were at a certain point, but that's the case here in America, right? You see what I'm saying? You know, that's the case here in America. So we have to understand these things, that it's more than meets the eye. We must do investigation. We must study and investigate so we can put out proper reports to the masses, right? We can't be saying the same thing that CNN is saying. No, we saying the same thing as CNN is saying. We're not putting the proper propaganda out to the people. We're putting the enemy's words and language out to the people. The great revolutionary philosopher and propagandist Frantz Fanon of Algeria said, once you accept the language of something, you are physically carrying out what that language represents. You understand? So are we speaking the language of CNN and Fox News and all these media, these part of the four branch of the government? which is their media, and we're talking their language and articulating what's going on in Africa and anywhere else, then we are acting on what their language is made for, and it ain't made for us. So we have to speak the language that we understand, and we got to articulate what we know to the masses. You know what I'm saying? So I know I went on a long rant, but I just wanted to put those things out there. We got Buddha, little Buddha on here.
How you doing, Chairman?
He ain't said nothing. What's going on, Buddha?
Most definitely. Yeah, so I think before we move on to Libya, would anybody like to say anything else about Zimbabwe before we move on? Pretty much, we know that, one of the biggest threats to Zimbabwe was a lack of political education amongst the populace, and a lack of revolutionary commitment from, the cabinet of Zimbabwe all the way to, the working class people and workers there. And so, that being said, we can move on to discussing Libya. Libya have had a big emotional effect on, Black people all across the nation. From the UK, different RBG groups out there and revolutionaries out there that have been going to the Libyan embassy and raising hell and, clashing with police. There's been a lot of different journalists writing on it, as well as, even CNN covered it. Now, we already know, how CNN is seen. And, President Trump said when CNN, leaked the story about Libya, President Trump, his bitch ass, he called it fake news. He called it fucking fake news. Peace and Black Power. Peace and Black Power. Everybody who just chimed in, appreciate it. Thank you. Pretty much we're discussing slavery in Libya amongst Black people. Europeans and Arabs working together to sell African people who are trying to lead their tyrannical government and, flee to Europe or wherever. What is happening pretty much is, you have Nigerians. It seems to be more Nigerians, but you have Africans from all across the continent who go to Libya in hopes that they can be snuck into Europe through the Mediterranean Sea. And what is happening, the EU and the Italian government have really strengthened their border patrol and their patrol in the Mediterranean Sea. And so what is happening, thousands of people in Libya was expected to be snuck into Europe, and they're not able to be snuck in. So now they just held in Libya because a lot of them spent all resources. They've saved money for so long to be able to do this. And they have spent all their resources they have to make this transition, and they're not able to make the transition. So when they capture them from trying to sneak over, they hold them, and when they hold them, they sell them off into slavery. Also, not just that, but the ones that are not able to be sold, they kill them. They barbecue them literally like a shit. They, and they do this while they're alive. You know, they cut out their organs and burn them. The African women, what they're doing to them is raping them, and they're raping the African women, and they're forcing them to call home to extort more money from the family. You know, obviously there's a lot of strong ties to this situation, because, you know, for President Trump to call it fake news, and for, you know, other international governments not to intervene. But look, you know, let's talk about the history of Libya. You know, we can't talk about this without talking about Muammar Gaddafi. You know, which you know, Gaddafi. You can say that when you talk about the Gaddafi subject among Black nationalists, you know, it kind of becomes a 50-50 split. You know, some Black nationalists say, you know, he's the Arab cracker, you shouldn't trust him and shit like that. But I guess we should trust Emerson, right? But, and so, you know, they say a lot of, you know, bad things about him. Then you have some people who, Black nationalists, who praise Gaddafi, you know. You know, me personally, just from, you know, my reconnaissance of Libya under Gaddafi rule, he did a lot of great things. You know, one, he put African people in power. You know, he filled up his cabinet with African people and their influence. You know, they was able to get good paying jobs. Not only that, but the benefits of living under Gaddafi speaks for itself. You know, you get married, you're able to get finances and resources. You have a child, you get finances and resources. And Gaddafi, his biggest threat, the biggest threat of Gaddafi was his example, because he showed that having capitalist interests, not having capitalist interests could benefit. You know, yes, I eat having a child, and, you know, if I'm wrong, please let me know. You know, and please provide citations as well. You know, references to citations. But yeah, so you know, he did a lot of things there. Also, you know, he was trying to break Africa from borrowing from the World Bank.
Right.
You know, but, you know, and so it was a threat. You know, it was a threat to, you know, it was a threat to white supremacy as a whole. And not only white supremacy. Hold on 1 second. Where the lines at? Okay. So, you know, he was a threat because, one, he was gonna, if he were to break African countries from borrowing from the World Bank, and then that would have ended a lot of the buck dances, you know, buck dancing going on for the EU that we see going on. And, you know, not only that, but he was going to come up with this currency called the dinar, if I'm saying it right. And this currency was going to be made of gold. And it's going to be a currency that could be used all over through Africa versus Indian currency, which is paper, which is, you know, worth nothing. You know, at the same time, it's always have to do with oil. You know, when we deal with Somalia, you know, Iraq, it's always something with oil that jumps it off. You know, the French was going to Libya and, you know, pumping oil from Libya. You know, and so, you know, he eventually stopped that. And once he stopped that, that's when shit hit the fan. That's when he became a dictator. They accused him of shooting, of having his defense force shoot protesters out of planes. Now, it's kind of funny. Now, America, I'm just going to be honest with you. That shit that happened October the 1st in Las Vegas, when I watched a lot of video footage, and as a Marine Corps veteran who have heard helicopter fire, that sounded like fucking helicopter fire on them people. It don't look like nobody was shooting out that building. It looks like it was shooting out that fucking helicopter that was hovering around. But, we already understand we live in a country full of contradictions. But, also, they also ran a campaign to, they used his own Arab people against him. Because, the Arabs were salty about that shit when he was putting African people in government over the military, over the police, over, Minister of Finance and all these other things. Them Arabs wasn't liking that. They were like, hold up, you an Arab. Why are you putting these African people on? And so, the CIA, along with, I'm sure, UK intelligence agency as well as Israel, it probably was a joint coalition. They led a mean propaganda and campaign to turn his people against him by number one, giving him a political adversary. And so, he wouldn't acknowledge that political adversary. He already knew where this political adversary come from. That motherfucker is a puppet. So, he wasn't trying to deal with that. So they went on to a bigger campaign on his brother. That's when NATO got involved. And, they start funding. And see, by the way, Al-Qaeda, the first complaint about Al-Qaeda was not from America. It was from Gaddafi. You know what I'm saying? Because, they was using Libya as a place to develop Al-Qaeda. And we already know how groups of Al-Qaeda started. We don't have to even go into
right.
The Europeans form these fake ass groups and fund them so they can have a reason to fucking invade. And, that was the situation. And because they was doing terrorist attacks against fucking Gaddafi. Now, if Al-Qaeda hate fucking Westerners and hate the white man, hate Christians, why the fuck they attacking an Arab? You know what I'm saying? Arab leader. So, so it's a lot of fishy shit that was going on around that shit. And then once they did attack, they was able to get, a particular group there to attack they was able to get a group there to attack Gaddafi. United States participated along with France and the UK. And they set it up to where the ground forces was able to call for an airstrike by using social media. So that's how they airstriked his places. They used social media to call an airstrike them. And so, when they pulled him out of office, just like when they did Saddam Hussein, what that do to the country? Because you have a whole bunch of different political factions, and now it's up the game. They know that that it's not going, there's not going to be no another political group, let's say like another country, intervening on Libya's behalf. So all these little political factions, it put their ass in a civil war. So it's got the group in Benghazi, who is supposed to be the so-called revolutionaries, fighting against the group in Tripoli, which is backed by United States.
Yeah.
And Benghazi is actually a group in the revolutionaries, or whatever you want to call them, in Benghazi is actually backed by Egypt. So right now, there's a civil war going on there, along with this slavery. So this is how they're able to do this slavery, because the white man have helped put a whole bunch of confusion in that particular area, in that country. And amidst that confusion, You know, just like my mentor used to say, it's the underlay for the overplay. You know, and that's exactly what it is. You know, Chairman, you want to chime in on it before I start going through the comments?
No, you break it down pretty good. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? You break it down pretty good on how that's how it works. You know what I'm saying? Imperialism, colonialism, that's how it works. You know, they start front groups and they create confusion. You know, and they sneak into the confusion themselves, but they don't report this. Of course, they can't tell you their game. A pimp ain't gonna tell you how he get all his hoe. You know, they ain't gonna tell you how they do these things, but you know, if you research and investigate, like our chief is talking, bring down all these divisions, that's how they come in, and that's what they do. You know, and they slide right in and they participate, but they can't outright say that all the United States was a part of this, but they was. You know, that's the actual fact.
Most definitely, most definitely. I'm finna go to the comments, and you know, read a little bit. You know, Saeed and Must Power Saeed. You know, Saeed saw Gorilla Mainframe lose a newborn baby. You know, Saeed, we 10 years in now, brother. You was there from the jump, man. You know, you saw us when we first started. You see your comrade over there, Saeed. 10 years strong. But Saeed said fleeing from Nigeria. You know, pretty much he was saying that, you know, which reports did say 75% of the slaves were from Nigeria. Or we're not going to call them slaves. We're going to call them prisoners of war or captives.
Right.
Also, he said we don't expect them to intervene, right? And then he said having a baby. I guess he would question that. Queen Acres, she said he was awesome and took great perks of just being there. Yes. Saeed also said the United States of Africa. Yes, that's what that's what Gaddafi was trying to organize. Muja said when those private militaries come in, it's pretty nonstop until they get what they want. And that's another thing.
Yeah.
Y'all know that pretty much 90% of mercenary private militaries are in Africa. And y'all know who make up those, right? Well, let me tell you who makes up those mercenaries, hire for kills, whatever you want to call them. It's Navy SEALs, Force Recon Marines, the best that the Air Force have, the best that the Army have, from the Rangers to the Green Berets and Delta Force. So, you know, you're talking about the best of the best. Because these folks that work for these private militaries, they get paid six-figure salary. So, you know, when I was in the, you know, the same shit that, you know, we was doing in the Marine Corps for barely, you know, $20,000 a year, you know, they get to do it for, you know, six-figure salaries for, you know, for a big business interest. And thanks for in on that, Muja Balogun. Queen Acres, was it Gaddafi trying to change the currency for Libya and was trying to connect other African nations? I heard Mugabe wanted to do it too. You damn right, and I was gonna get to that. It said it is said his downfall. I'm sorry. His downfall came that way, and they took him down to stop it. Iraq, Saddam Hussein was trying to let go of European currency and use gold bars. It is said this is about the world banking system. You goddamn right. Man, I'll tell you, that sister is hella politically educated. We got to make sure she chime in every time. I like her input. She also said only mess with nations with natural resource wealth. I know, right? Because that's what wealth is really based off of. Because then if they secure all the natural resource wealth, then they can switch back to gold, to the actual natural resource and take it off dollars, then we really fucked, right? They divide the people and arm them, and that's it. Damn right. Okay. Yara said, why haven't other countries been able to infiltrate America and fully take over? What is America doing right? Well, it's the military-industrial complex. Even, that's one of the reasons that JFK got killed, because he even warned the American people about, if you go listen to JFK on fucking videos, he warned the American people about this military-industrial complex. At that time, they didn't understand because it wasn't as massive as it is now. I work for a company that outsources with the military. We build a lot of components for the military. The military outsourced with a lot of different companies. The military, us being in war, is creating a lot of fucking jobs. That's just showing how controlling this military-industrial complex is. I also posted earlier about, tax cuts and shit like that. And the reason why these tax cuts irritate me is because they're cutting taxes on healthcare. They're cutting taxes on education. They're cutting taxes on social services, and they're cutting taxes on public transportation. And these are things that the people need to determine their own destiny. But the defense budget, and we don't want to talk about all these other secret budgets that they have. You see the numbers on that shit. The figures are out of this fucking world.
66 billion.
With Tupac said it. We got money for war, but can't feed the poor. You know what I'm saying? These are the contradictions that we're talking about. But let me carry on, because I don't want to get too carried away and not reading the comments, because I want everybody the opportunity to be heard. And like I said, even if you want to come say your comment and hop on the live video yourself and say it yourself, just say it in the comment. We will add you. We want to give everybody an opportunity to genuinely express themselves. Y'all say, okay, we read that. My brother Demond Taylor out there in Washington. What up, big homie? He said, indeed, yeah, she is on task. It's always about money and land, period. Exactly, Conrad. Big brother Muja said, peace, Yafeuh and Erick. Sean Bullock said, America has the strongest military in the world with the powerful allies and an army populace. And an invasion will be an uphill battle for anyone. You damn right it will be. If anybody been in the military, America have already I'm talking about this shit, they have enough ammo stored to fight a 20-year war. They have enough resources on standby to fight a long, protracted struggle. So it ain't gonna be as simple as us rushing the White House, overloading Secret Service and getting down to the bunkers and holding Trump hostage. If you think it's gonna be that simple, it's definitely not, right?
Yeah, we need to do that. That's what we need to do.
It's easy to do. Hey, shit. Hey, we're gonna lead the way. I'm gonna cover you. The Montana, I would say America always got their asses in our country. They always in other affairs. Why is that? They gotta be in the midst. Cause they winning. They getting resources. They getting power. Just know every second of the day, why us black nationalists, or whatever you want to consider yourself in this movement, or however you want to label yourself, while we sit here and argue over petty shit, bickering and shit like that, arguing with each other and making up and shit like that, every second of the day, they're becoming more powerful. While we're being distracted, or we're distracting ourselves, or who's going to win the social media war between Umar and Seti, these crackers are taking fucking country. They're raping the earth of all the uranium to make nuclear bombs. So if there was a successful revolution, they would blow the world up down there 20 times consecutive. Y'all also said, so what chance do Black African people have? Well, Chairman, I'll let you chime in on that, and I'll definitely chime in on it as well.
Well, you know, I don't know the percentages, right, of what chance we have. If you just, you know, looking at certain situations, you know, you might think that our chance is pretty damn low, okay? You know, but the thing is, to go back to your point before, you saying why ain't other people infiltrated things of that nature? Well, for one, America has joint relationships with other countries, especially Europe. Europe is the invading, what they call settler colonialism, which what white people in America are, they settler colonialists. So they base is Europe, right? And them in Europe have this joint thing. They had a joint and globalization. So we have to have joint efforts with other people, right? It has to be a joint effort. You have to have a global, united, revolutionary front in order to even have a reason to do that. But the thing is, our movements are not sophisticated enough to go to the next level. We have to move up on sophistication. But as you just said, we can't get past the simple shit. We can't get past the damn Cartoon Network before we even get to things that's sophisticated, such as intelligence. We have to be sophisticated, but you have to be dedicated to be sophisticated. See, the imperialist powers, people that are part of dominant white power, they are dedicated to that shit. And when they not dedicated to it, you don't know it because they're not on Facebook talking about how pissed off they are at the intelligence community. They such and such pissed me off, and they ain't doing that shit. You don't even know. Sometimes you know 30 years later when they have a whistleblower that comes out and talks about what has went on in the intelligence community. But also you notice that that person that whistleblows 10 or 15 years after he whistleblows, you don't see his ass no damn more. You see what I'm saying? He missing. Right. He or she is missing. But they have a close-knit intelligence community of people that's dedicated to keeping dominant white power alive.
Exactly.
A lot of us want to philosophize, and then a lot of us wonder, as Chief RT always say, that it's escapism. We always had these escapism philosophies where we want to groom a philosophy to fit us to be comfortable where we at. But only a goddamn fool is going to be comfortable with oppression. Comrade Chairman Fred after Jr. always say, oppression is embarrassing. It isn't fucking embarrassing. We should have the best intelligence in the goddamn world because we come from the greatest intelligence of the world. You understand what I'm saying? The goddamn United States military get their strategies from the great black man, Hannibal himself. You understand? But we have moved from this due to the enslavement process and the American and the Western world propaganda. But we have moved from these kind of things. But we have to get back. You know what I'm saying, to these things. But they start with identity, and they start with unity, and they start with dedication. We have principles, and we have to be dedicated to them. But we have to do all of that to get to the sophisticated level. We can do it. The question is never can you do this shit, is will you do it? Yes, this 1-year-old can take 5 steps. You damn right this baby can take 5 steps. Will this child walk? It ain't can it walk, it's will it walk. It ain't can this dog bite, it's will it bite. Will it have a goddamn lockjaw when it bite? Will it keep that grip on? And that's the question with us, is not can we walk, is will we walk? And that's the whole thing.
We walk.
And she say, when will we walk? You see what I'm saying? So this is the thing, that always take is, will you really do it? You know what I'm saying? Will we do it? We have the masses on our side. It's the masses. No matter how much might the military industrial complex, which reportedly is spent $66 billion, okay, in their budget for military industrial complex. So the question is, even though they have all that, we have the masses on our side. They can't kill every goddamn body because their interest is gone if they kill every damn body. Because wealth don't come from a smart white guy named Zupowitz with fucking glasses on. They look like Dexter Laboratory, the cartoon. Wealth comes from production. Production. We are the goddamn producers in this world. When they steal our resources from the continent, we produce the shit and they get rich and they sit back and get that goddamn money to the military industrial complex and the prison slave industrial complex. But the masses have the ability to say, fuck you, we gonna do what the fuck we gotta do, and ain't nothing your military gonna do to stop it. Before long, if we propagandize enough, the military will turn and they will come on our side. But this is the kind of dedicated and mindset you got to have, and you got to have the vision. Our people lack vision. We are doing what the oppressors want. We want to go so far and we want to stop. But to get to the level we talking about the Western world is on, you can't stop. You got to go all the goddamn way. It's all or nothing.
As you can see, this is the first part of the conversation that Rakem and Eric had on Libya and Zimbabwe back in 2017. Had a lot of feedback from the folks that was online with him. This was shortly before Rakem was arrested by the FBI on December 12th, and I kind of want to play that in reference to a few days ago. Was 6 years since that event happened. And if you don't know, at the end of it, I came over Rakem's house and I was there, kind of standing in the background a little bit. Um, but I wanted to share this information in respects to Rakem Balogun. I'm also gonna make sure I put the links to be able to write Rakem, which is very important. If you have a chance and opportunity, send him a letter. Let him know you're thinking about him, and do me a big favor and like, share, and subscribe to this channel. This is the channel of the grassroots community here in the city of Dallas, Texas. We grassroots. We the most grassroots channel in the city. And like I said, from us became a national movement, you know what I'm saying, the bear arms and things of that nature. So peace, power, and prosperity. We'll be back tomorrow with Chairman Erick talking about the history on George Jackson University. We'll be back. Peace, power, and prosperity.